Hi everyone, ARKM here. I just thought I'd show off some new saber-staff couplers I came up with. In addition to the original one, as created by Corbin, I've come up with 3 new ones as you can see here. The idea behind these new couplers is that I wanted each half of a double-bladed lightsaber to look perfectly identical when separated into 2 sabers. These new couplers do achieve that, however there is one drawback. In order for this to work, when in staff mode, you cannot have all the buttons all across the saber be along the same axis. So for you Darth Maul lovers, that unfortunately means if you want both halves of the saber to be perfectly identical when separated, you would have to rotate one half 180 degrees when in staff mode, so that, for example, the left side would have the buttons on the bottom, and the right half, or right side if you will, would have the buttons on the top. Now this does not apply to Corbin's coupler, only my 3 new ones. Other than that, these couplers work great, and I'll show you how they work in just a second. First up is Corbin's tried and true saber-staff coupler. This coupler will allow you to have the buttons on both sabers all on the same axis when in saber-staff mode, as no matter how you rotate each half, the pommel ends will always look the same. However, as you can see, there are different diameters, and as such will not look perfectly identical when separated into 2 sabers. Next up we have my coupler number 1. This is probably the second strongest of the couplers, Corbin's being the first. Each coupler piece is being held in by 3/8 long set screws via pressure, and there are 2/8 inch long set screws holding it together in staff mode, also via pressure. Next up is coupler number 2. This is probably the weakest of all the couplers, but also the coolest looking. I don't recommend you make it out of aluminum as shown here. Instead, I recommend you make it out of something stronger, such as brass, or better yet, steel. Also, you don't need to use flush-mounted set screws to hold everything together. You can use any kind of screws you want. However, with flush-mounted screws, it will allow for some cool palm spins while in staff mode. Last but not least, we have coupler number 3. This is the second easiest coupler to make, with Corbin's being the first. What's nice about this coupler is that technically you only need one power tool to make it, and that's a drill press with a vise. However, a lathe does come in handy for getting the outer diameter perfect and the center hole perfectly centered. Well, there you have it. I hope you like my new couplers. If you have any questions on them, please visit my thread on the topic at www.imperialroyalarms.com. Thanks for watching.